We mentioned Complexity already, we mentioned Team Secret already, but there are two teams that we haven't touched upon just yet. Because Mineski made it through to the playoffs as well. And they come from a highly competitive region as well, and there's so many different teams making it out of those qualifiers at the moment.
Yeah, I think for the most part though, they've somewhat held dominance. I think they've qualified for pretty much everything, with the exception of ESL Hamburg.
Yeah, not a major though, that's a shame.
That is true. But they're here, they're top 4, they got some points, right?
Yeah.
Getting top 4 means
points,
you get
money.
some points.
And if you actually do well enough in this minor, like maybe you actually start attracting invites for your region.
Yes.
Right. So even if they don't go to major, but if say they win this star ladder, who knows? Like I don't know how tournament organizers are looking like the next batch and how they're going to determine their invites. But if I'm a tournament organizer, I'm paying very close attention to these tournaments and who ends up winning. And this is Mineski's chance to be able to establish Southeast Asia as potentially a dominant region that deserves invites straight up.
Yeah, could be. Same thing goes for Team Liquid. Obviously, they're getting invites right now because they just won TI. They're still looking very dominant. Haven't dropped a single game just yet. They played the first day, and we basically haven't seen them for 2 days. They've been ice skating.
They've been ice skating.
You have a good time, Will?
It was good. It was fun.
Not a happy ending.
It was the best.
Yeah.
Probably Miracle.
Miracle's
and he had never gone in his life because he's from Jordan.
Miracle's better than Matumba, man.
Yeah, he was really
He was born on the ice.
Yes.
Wow.
He was like, because he's fearless, right? It was like really weird because their Dota personalities like kind of reflected on the ice rink. It's like Miracle, he had never gone, he's from Jordan, and
there's not a lot of ice in Jordan for people geography.
So he just went for it. He just like got on and he immediately like just tried to figure out what he could do. He tried like doing flips and stuff on the first day. I was like, what's going on? But Liquid, they are taking things easier than I have seen in the past. There's absolutely no way that in the past coL would allow his team to do anything during the middle of a tournament. But I think things are a little bit more relaxed.
Yeah.
When you win TI, you kind of afford that freedom. But it's knowing when to snap it back, knowing when to say, okay, guys, like now is the time to focus up.
Yeah, and I think, well, considering they 2-0'd all their opponents on the Thursday, they don't need to snap out of it just yet.
Yeah.
They're fine.
But this is the first time that I think they're really going to get tested.
Today.
Yes.
Right, that will be our second matchup of the day. Second match of the day is Secret versus Liquid, but our first matchup is Complexity versus Mineski. And it will be a very interesting game because both of these teams love to fight. Complexity, most of all, they're all about that 5-man death ball.
They brought back their old style. You know, they had this roster, and that was the unique thing about this roster. They were always being able to utilize their safe lane, and they had some like offlane heroes that they would put safe lane, and they would always be like really aggressive heroes. So back then it was Furion. I don't remember if they did Brewmaster back then, but it's something they've done now in this patch. That's another example of a traditional offlaner that is fulfilling that safe lane role, and it's just hyper aggressive. Like it comes online so much faster than any of your other traditional safe lane heroes, and it does make sense, right? Like most of the safe lane heroes that we're picking right now, they're not true carries, right? They're heroes that want to be able to do battle. Complexity is just taking that the next step.
Yeah, we have the Beastmaster from Moo that we saw. He was on top of the net worth, like a prime example of what you're just mentioning. Brewmaster himself actually has not been picked at this entire tournament, so I'm hoping to see him make an appearance today. Overall, I mean, they don't focus on that on the safe lane. They leave Moo by himself with whatever hero because they have run a lot of aggressive tri lanes here. A lot more like that gonna come here today for this matchup.
I think so. It really does depend on how Mineski though decides to deal with it. I think that Na'Vi, they had an okay idea about things. They wanted to be able to switch their lanes to make things as favorable as possible. But I think they overdid it in a little bit. Like they would go from top to bottom to top to bottom. And at that point, you're ruining Crystallize's game. Like even if he gets some kills, he not having a stable laning phase is really going to hurt you. And that's what Complexity does best, is they kind of put you on your toes. They make things a little bit difficult. They pick these heroes that is going to give you a different look. Like these Jakiros that you're not really sure how you're going to handle.
Mineski themselves are also master of lane swaps. We saw that yesterday against our series against SG. They basically decided before the lane started to swap things up. They tried to scout it out early on, and worked out in a game where the panel thought, the second game of the series, the panel thought that Mineski got outdrafted. Their lanes won them the game. They were able to dominate off the back of that. Looking forward to see more of that action. And considering both teams do it, it's gonna be very interesting how this series is going down. Any heroes to look out for? Because also this team has a couple of heroes that you don't see probably. Ice off lane, Visage, for example.
I mean, I was going to say Lich, but Will, you said it's probably going to get banned by Complexity. So I would say Puck, probably. That'll definitely be in the pool. And I think Mineski are very likely to pick it up. It's one of their favorite heroes.
We saw it dominate yesterday, Nana, Puck.
Yeah. Just from a drafting standpoint, by the way, when you have heroes that you're worried about, like when you run into a team and you're like, we have to ban these heroes, it makes it a lot easier to play. Because Mineski, they're going to say, guys, it's very likely that they watched our games yesterday, they saw how we dominated with X, Y, and Z. Yeah. As a drafter, what you're going to do now is just take those heroes out, and it's much easier to prep for. So, for example, I'll say, okay, if I'm Mineski, I'll say, okay, our Lich was so dominant. They're going to think that's the key here. So let's when you do your practice drafts, what you'll do is you'll say, okay, let's take Lich out of the pool. Yeah. So then what's our response to that? What is Complexity like playing? They like playing the Chen. So first two bans, for me, are pretty clear. It's like Lich, Chen, then maybe Io or Shaker, and then Complexity gets rid of Nyx. And then that's where like the real game starts. Then Mineski can say, okay, this is what our draft is actually going to look like, and that's where like the real strategy comes in.
Because I agree with the Lich and the Chen, but the rest doesn't seem so clear-cut for these teams. There are so many different heroes that they've played so far.
I just think Io Shaker, Io Veno, one of those sets of heroes are most likely going to get banned. But it's like an internal meta that will develop between teams, because some teams really favor some things. Like if you play against an OG, Brew is going to be one of your top two bans. Yeah. But against all these other teams, it's not even touched.
No, it is going to be a lot of different heroes. What are you expecting from this series?
Well, going over Will's bans, then that would leave, for me, Night Stalker. Probably one of the most prevalent 4 positions, as well as the Earth Spirit that's been very strong this tournament. Feels like those really good Earth Spirit players, they have so much value to them right now. It's not just the being able to gank mid, it's the opportunity of like the disables that are so strong right now, because we're fighting so much. We're oftentimes fighting way before BKBs are online. You don't really see a whole lot of teams being like, all right, let's farm, let's get our BKBs before we want to fight. Like everyone's clashing and getting these team fights way before that. So it's not just the stun that's valuable at that point in time, but also the silence. Earth Spirit's supposed to fall off once BKBs are up, and then he comes back in line once he gets Aghanim Scepter, which is super late into the game. Right, so I feel like that hero is particularly strong right now.
Oh, I was going to say, coL looks like a man who's looking at the draft screen, and now we are too. Well, our own version of it anyway. Lich already removed by Complexity, Io indeed as well by Mineski. I mean, you don't want to deal with Z-Freak's Chen, so I'm going to imagine that Mineski is going to ban that out next.
Yeah.
Unless they have a very good answer to it.
The idea is either, so I was more confident about the Chen ban than I was the Io, but I was pretty certain that the 2 bans in order, it doesn't really matter how it goes, would either be Io Shaker or Io Chen.
Yep.
And so we see Io Shaker. And of course, Complexity, they ban Lich Veno or Lich Nyx.
But what do you think so if they get Chen, what are the better answers to Chen? Because we've seen more Crystal Maiden.
Yeah, I think CM,
I don't think that's been
Witch Doctor.
I don't think it's been successful.
Because these 2 heroes, the problem with them is that they get run over. You can maybe stop one creep and it's mildly annoying, but it doesn't beat the concept of the hero is the issue. And Mineski actually take Tusk.
Are they going to go do like Tusk Bane or something?
Tusk,
You don't sound convinced at all, Will.
I'm trying to figure out what that is a response to, because now Complexity have options. They can take Visage, they can take Chen. They can just like straight up pick Chen Visage, or they can do like an NA Classic where they just like Jakiro and leave things open.
Oh yeah, the Chessie Visage. They play it in very different ways as well, Chessie and Exercise, but they go for the Puck first.
What about the Spirit Breaker that we've seen earlier? I feel like that hero hasn't been very effective.
I think teams are just getting better at dealing with it.
Just being able to like kind of get the feel for the pace that Spirit Breaker takes in the early game.
And the downside of the hero is it's in the early game it makes up for a lot of your shortcomings, but you still need disables. We saw in the Na'Vi game, he can't be your only initiator.
Right, which is why Earthshaker is such a prevalent 4 position, right?
But I'm more surprised by the Tusk opening, and I think Complexity is too, because they're sort of hesitating a little bit. Tusk doesn't really he doesn't really hard counter anything, doesn't really get hard countered by anything.
Aren't you just okay with Earth Spirit against that?
So it is Jakiro.
Okay.
And I think this is a response of, let's leave things open. We're not really sure what this is leading into quite yet.
Was Complexity the team that ran Jakiro on the offlane?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they can also run it as their safe lane support.
Yes, of course.
And
so
they can...
Yeah, flexibility in both the heroes.
Yeah, and in the quals against Planet Odd, they ran it mid, but it was Firo playing it, but they still ran it mid. So options-wise, it's just an NA Classic in that it leaves things really open. Like, it doesn't signal anything.
Yeah, and if you also want to take from other NA teams, you can even run it as a 5-position, like Optic have done with PPD. So, okay, Night Stalker and Tusk.
Yeah, the
what is
classic.
this? Will, you keep on saying, like, so the Crystal Main Witch Doctor, right? They get run over. These 5 positions to be rapidly falling out of favor in replace of like 2 4 positions, basically 2 traditionally thought of as 4-position roaming style heroes.
Yeah, but Liquid I think played against us last time when they played against Mineski in game 2, and they just ran over him with Chen. Because these heroes, as pure lane supports, they're a bit difficult to run, and they both require quite a bit of levels, and they need some measure of farm. But for Mineski, I still think Chen's an okay ban. Complexity does ban the AM, by the way.
I think they definitely ban Chen now, right? Because they have their 2 4 positions are kind of locked in, and they can't grab the Enchantress to counter the Chen anymore.
Maybe, but
Complexity, silly to me,
it feels like Complexity kind of knows that something is up.
Maybe they were expecting the Chen to come out from Complexity and they were baiting them into it, and they just want to... And they have planned a strategy against that.
I mean, Tusk and Enchantress is a really powerful duo because you can snowball in the like Centaur or Hellbear.
So, coL, they ban Ench. Very smart. You just mentioned it right now.
I mean, but I specifically thought they don't have the opportunity to pick Enchantress because of the fact that that would mean like Night Stalker's off lane at that point.
No, they could do Ench off. They could do...
We haven't seen a whole lot of Ench core, right? So
it happened twice.
Ice has played.
Yeah, he played.
Oh, okay, you're right.
It didn't work out in that game specifically.
It was against Veno. It was against Matoma Man's Veno.
And then that definitely makes sense.
So this time they ban Chen, which makes sense in the second phase. Like we had talked about how important it was. So for Complexity, there's some options. I don't know if they'll take something like the NP, considering, I guess Night Stalker and Tusk both sort of work against it.
Yeah, that's a hard game.
You have NP, you could go for Wyvern again. That Jakiro offlane isn't bad right now if you're against these 2 4s.
Yeah, because they just kind of run out of damage, right? Against Jakiro. So tanky. What about our friend the Necrophos? Where did he go, Will?
Pugna, where did it both go?
Those are 3-4 pickups. Why aren't we talking about those?
Necro, it's a bit weird because coL, they don't want to get cheese and just get Mushi AM'd. And if you open Puck Jakiro, you're just gonna get, it's a really decent chance you just get AM'd. So they're gonna take CK in response. So Mineski, they need some clear. What do you grab here? Like Sven?
Are you not afraid of being counterpicked Dusa as Chaos Knight? Because we've seen a lot of these Chaos Knights either like 5th pickup or 4th pick straight into the ban phase, that final ban phase where they can ban the Dusa.
But it just looks weird when you have Tusk NS, you have these like really aggressive heroes, and then you have a hero that essentially doesn't have the ability to be mobile. It's like it's a good counter pick, but I mean Complexity, pace of game wise, will just run at you. They'll just throw bodies at you. And it's not really the ultimate that's gonna make these heroes annoying. It's just good at laning.
We've seen Medusa for Mushi twice, and I think Winter was really unhappy with it. It should be a last resort pick rather than a go-to pick against the CK, because
it seems routine that analysts are upset with
Mushi's pick.
Mushi's Dusa.
Well, Mushi's anti-mage is really good, but that's one of Complexity removed. So, is there any other core that you could take for dealing with Chaos Knight? You already mentioned Sven.
Yeah, I think Sven's acceptable.
Sven.
I don't know. But again, it's like, I feel like the Chaos Knight puts you in that position where it's kind of baiting out those later game heroes that you're talking about, that slower pace.
You could do like DP as well.
Timbersaw.
Timber.
That's a pretty good hero for that. And Ice Timbersaw. is really, really good.
Yeah.
But you do not want that Timber matched against the Chaos Knight in lane.
Okay.
Like, it may be good later, but it's very fragile in the beginning because you start off with no armor.
So it could also be a Nana Timbersaw, perhaps, or someone else. They have been swapping up their lanes a lot. Like we were saying that normally Mushi is the one that goes mid, Nana is the core, but they've been even swapping that up.
You probably don't take heroes like NP then. If you see Timber.
Mm-hmm.
Timber, like, the best thing about him is that he gets to shove outside lanes.
And there's nothing you could do as a Furion against that.
Especially if they decide to lane up. You only pick NP nowadays if you see, like, if you're Liquid or if you have really soft supports. Like, if you see an AA or Disruptor on the enemy team, then you feel pretty good.
In the games that Mineski played yesterday, they had a really good map control and great vision, and Nightstalker kind of covers that a little bit already. Do you feel like Complexity needs a hero that offers more vision? Because they don't have anything like that. Or is it not necessary?
I'm not sure. Their lineup is, like, kind of weird overall. They have a ton of team fight. Like, that's what Complexity have. They have pretty good wave shove. Their disables are alright.
This is the first time that Kunkka gets picked up, by the way. We've seen it banned out against Lanham's Kunkka, but it's not actually been picked yet in this LAN so far.
It's really nice against Timber.
Yeah.
It actually crushes Timber.
Some of the... So I don't think you have to worry about the Mineski Tinker, but what about the Broodmother? Are you susceptible to a pickup here? Or do you have enough from Complexity?
Mineski could definitely brood.
Yeah, because I was thinking you just have Jakiro kind of puck.
Complexity can't really.
Yeah, they're not.
Isn't
They
Kunkka
can't
pretty
brood.
good against the Brood as well?
Kunkka's alright against brood. They take Viper.
They're picking a lot of heroes that you just don't really want to go on.
Yeah.
They're all kind of tanky, have good defense mechanisms.
They also know
Chaos Knight wants to go constantly on heroes.
They also note that coL has heroes that don't naturally build BKB early. Because any sort of BKB core at this point for Complexity would be really nice.
Chaos Knight can burst down a lot of heroes though. Can he not burst any of these, or are they still too tanky for that?
Timber is pretty tanky, but if you go on him early and you just X-boat him, X-torrent boat him, he dies pretty fast.
Yeah.
Tusk is pretty nice against that though.
He can just snowball
Yeah,
it in case he gets attacked, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of this game's going to come down to how this Tusk looks. So they do ban Brood because they realize, like, guys, we're okay, but laning-wise it's going to be really rough dealing with both Brood and Timber.
How does Visage do against Viper? Have you seen that matchup?
I think it's alright.
I don't think you like it against all these tanky heroes though, right?
Is Visage still an option for Mineski as
It's
well?
okay, but I thought they would take something like Necro.
Okay, still Necro.
Or maybe Pugna. I think that's what the AA ban signifies, by the way.
Yeah.
I would have taken Pugna or Necro. I think Necro's, like, pretty solid here.
They don't have a natural Diffusal Blade hero yet.
Or an Alchemist.
Chaos Knight picked up. You don't really like that item.
Is Alchemist not an option? That's also a hero that I think of when I see an AA ban.
Ox alright. It'd be... You have a lot of good fight.
I think you'd have a pretty slow lineup, though, between both Timber and Alk having later timings.
You need a second Lave Shove hero.
Yeah.
And I guess Viper would be on the same lane as an Alchemist regardless, so...
You just need killers if you're Mineski. You want heroes that can kill. You don't want heroes that... You don't want heroes, I think, that farm, unless you feel really confident that this Alk will allow you to 1v5. That you can fight without your team for a really long time. Like, they can 4v5 without you. Because Complexity's lineup is just going to run at you for 15 minutes. So, I thought Pugna, because it's good against CK, or Necro.
Pugna!
You like the Necro more? What do you think the Pugna
I actually,
signifies?
so I first said Necro, and then I added the Pugna in there because I think Pugna is naturally very good against CK. And both those heroes, for me...
Why?
The Green Goblin people,
You've got to Decrepify.
if you can't immediately burst those two heroes and they get to play the space game behind these tanky cores that run at you, it's really hard to get to the backline.
Yeah.
And so that's where Necro and Pugna are strong, where they have people to tank in, then they can come in, do whatever they feel like, burst somebody down.
Yeah. You got the Ags that you can just pop illusions.
But I do like Pugna better because I think it lane shoves a little bit easier. You have good tower hit, you have the option to play this very early game centric style that Complexity wants to play. And coL, what do they take? They take Omni.
Omni Knight. Oh dear.
So that's okay. So that's a mid puck offlane Omni.
Yeah.
Looks like it.
These are pretty rough lanes though.
Yeah, you're not real happy with that laning setup. Got to be something a little different.
Throwing a curveball somewhere.
Maybe. Do you think mid Omni does fine against Viper? Better than Puck?
No, I can't imagine that.
I mean, we've seen DKs do well against Viper.
DK's different though. He's got static regen and he's got a range nuke that reduces damage.
So are you convinced for Complexity or for Mineski?
I like Mineski.
All right. This is a tough call, guys.
Now this is the part where I hope I'm right and Will agrees with me. If not, I know I'm wrong.
I think Complexity might be the slightly better team, but I think Mineski might have the slightly better draft. It's pretty toss-up, but if we're going by draft, which I have been all tournament, Mineski.
All right. Let's figure out who's going to be right and who's going to be wrong and who gets it up in this first game of the day in the semifinals of the playoffs. It is over to Lyrical and Gods for game number 1.
Thank you very much, Shiver, and hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's the first semifinal, Gods. We're here, Southeast Asia versus North America. Swindles famously said that he thought these were going to be the 2 regions to talk about way back at the Shanghai Major.
So clearly this is the semi to watch, you know. Forget Liquid, Secret, not exciting. Kyle Swindles himself said this is the 2 best regions. Here they are. This could be the grand finals is what I'm hearing.
Absolutely. Completely and totally. And I'm super excited about this game. I saw Kunkka. There's a Timbersaw in there. A couple of heroes that aren't normally seen. It took until the very end of the game, or the draft rather, to see Pugna. No Necro either. What do you think about the drafts? Would you agree with the panel? I mean, they were a little bit split about it as well.
Yeah. Draft-wise, we've definitely seen more, I think, shakiness from Mineski, but no, we're not talking about the draft in terms of their play, which is where we saw Will's hesitance, I think, towards saying Mineski, because there is a kind of feel that Mineski have got a better draft, and I think that comes very much from the fact their lanes are stronger.
Do you see this all, Chad? What is happening?
Mushi nervous? What? Good luck, good luck. Kyle asked if Mushi is nervous. Okay.
Yeah.
And Mushi's like, what, me?
I don't even know what's happening already.
Mushi's response, it's my first tournament. Mushi's just like, who are you? You're on trash, bro. Don't talk to me.
That's amazing.
Get out of my game.
Well,
I love it. Kyle's trying to get in Mushi's head, and some good banter. This is what we like to see.
Well, it's certainly going to be an interesting one, and already teams heading out across the lanes, and I guess is this going to be sort of an aggro try coming out from Complexity then? Looks like it, or at least
contesting the runes. Yeah, definitely when you've got the Omni camped up top. This is an aggro try. They're looking to get a first blood, take the bounty rune, and then get off to a really good start bottom. Chaos Knight, one of the great heroes to run in these aggro try lanes, having a ranged initiation with either Reality Rift or Chaos Bolt, ton of kill potential. Mushi is going to be under a lot of pressure. He's actually got an Orb of Venom first. He is not anticipating an aggro try lane. You don't get Orb of Venom to verse 3 heroes.
Yeah, and this might end up catching them off guard, but they will reveal themselves most likely as they're...
Oh, Mushi popped the smoke and managed to stay hidden, which was good.
Yeah, well done.
I wonder if he changes lane at all, or if he's just gonna... I don't think you can really accept your fate as a Pugna. You're gonna feed versus a try lane, no matter how good you are.
Yeah, and up here top, Moo is just going to be the one that has to deal with the Timbersaw. That matchup, I mean, you've got Repel, but then there's also a Strength here, so when Repel's down, it's a little bit sketchy. What do you think about it?
It's very good for Timbersaw. He's got unlimited regen. Timbersaw should win this against Omni Knight, but Omni Knight should still farm, so very likely we won't see it dominated. It shouldn't be a lane where kills happen until level 6. With that said, it is Ice. This is the guy known for just getting kills in these 1v1 matchups. He loves the 1v1 matchups. It's funny because Moo was at the TI with DC a couple TIs ago. He was the Timbersaw 1v1 expert, so he should be very familiar with the matchup, which is what is going to serve him well.
Absolutely. Mid lane, Viper facing off against the Puck. Phase shift obviously very effective, and it does look like Kunkka is sort of hanging out around this area as well. Is there any real kill potential here at all?
Not really. I imagine we're going to see both teams go for the tri lanes bottom. With the aggro tri lane, Mineski sent both their supports down here. They're like, wait, we can't let our Pugna die time and time again. We have to commit 3 heroes here. They're going to play the game of pulls. They're going to just play this defensive style around Mushi. and look to just chip away at Complexity's aggro tri-lane.
Certainly the lane to watch. Sometimes with these tri-lanes, you run into issues with experience and stuff like that, and we'll have to keep our eyes on the poles also.
The really good thing is Mineski know they have winning matchups in the other 2 side lanes on paper, so if they can at least just hold their own, not give up too many kills bottom, their other lanes should do well. Viper should have the edge against the Puck. Similarly, Timbersaw should do very well against the Omni Knight.
Yeah, now that Orb of Venom not looking too bad since he's able to get a little bit of harassment with the long range.
Now that he's got the supports there for some room, bottom lane, there's actually a lot of blows being traded here.
Torn is out already. Ninja Boogie dropped down low, but coL is going to be the one under fire and drops down. Mushi, seeing who's nervous now.
Yeah, Orb of Venom Dota. He's got the slow on Z-Freak. He's almost able to get a follow-up kill. Still level 1, but even the Mineski level 1 tri-lane is incredibly strong. Ice Shards for blocks. The Void coming out from Night Stalker, one of the best level 1 nukes, and Pugna. Orb of Venom slow really paying off there. The 1v3, you don't want this item, but once it turns into a 3v3, this item is super value.
And Moo is actually doing a good job of keeping Ice's farm, or rather HP, fairly low with the purification.
Yep.
Plays that very carefully, obviously.
Yeah, he's winning the lane so far. We'll see if he can kind of continue this with the Soul Ring Rush. He will be able to constantly spam purification, so it will somewhat be a lane of traded farm. Perhaps this is maybe a more even matchup than I anticipated because, yeah, he's doing very well, leading the CS for the time being.
Oh, and then meanwhile, down there in the bottom lane, there's more action going on. As a DD rune on the Viper, he's able to dominate this fairly well, at least through this current wave. But we'll have to keep our eyes on this and see how much chess he is able to get. So far, basically matching Mushi for CS, even though they did manage to find that kill. And, well, Decrep comes out, a good bit of damage. He's blocked by his own creeps, but will still live.
Yeah, it's still fine. This is a win for Mineski. You don't get the kill, but you zone him out, you force him back. Mid lane's a bit worrisome. The Puck's got extra regen. He's got a salve, he's got Tango's. Meanwhile, Viper has almost used up all his regen. No salve. Has 1 Tango left. He's going to go for the dive here.
Yeah,
the Fairy Fire.
Trying to turn it. It's still a lot of damage.
Oh,
Can he do it? Able to get away, and Limp actually, is he going to die to tower? Okay, thank goodness.
That was actually really well baited by Nana. Nana was not losing the lane, but in a disadvantageous position because he had less regen, less health, but he baits Limp in, has the Fairy Fire, able to slow him and get away, and now, fuck, phase shift dodges that one, but that was one of those plays where he turns his disadvantage into a 1 lane by just baiting him in, thinking that he could get a kill.
Bottom lane, Decrep to save Ninja Boogie's life, but will be able to be for that much longer. They're trying to find the kill. Right clicks are there. They take him down. And Chessie going to take a couple more pot shots. It's going to be a return kill. Mushi trying to stay alive here, but he's being body blocked by his creeps and was slowed down all the hell. And even though he finds 1 before he goes down,
he got
Mushi,
the XP and everything.
He's fired up.
The fact he gets the XP before dying is fantastic. The bad news is coL gets a solo kill for it, so he's suddenly level 4 in Jakiro with 800 gold. coL, though, may die. Ninja Boogie's going in bottom looking for this kill. Doesn't want to let him TP. He's holding the nuke. Bottom lane.
Bottom lane.
Over. Here we go. coL snowballed on.
End up taking him almost down, and shards to block. They get the kill.
Yeah, so coL just got that. That's actually a really good kill to get. It's a 5-position support, but it was a very high-level one because he just got the solo kill. So Jakiro gets a lot of farm, gets a lot of experience, and then you kill him, it suddenly becomes a much more high-value kill.
Now, Moo up here in the top lane was very low HP, and Purification a little bit off the mark there, trying to deny whatever he can. Does need to be careful about Ice, but he's low mana anyway, so he won't be able to find a kill.
He's crushing.
Yeah.
He's just constantly harassing, has the heal sustain, and Ice, even with 3 points in reactive armor, is kind of getting bested here, just not getting the same farm as the Omni. Went for the Orb of Venom for the harass, but it hasn't really paid off.
Bottom lane, Mushi caught again. He does a lot of damage there with the blast, but not enough to really put that much pressure onto him. Now an X, any torrent to follow? They don't have anything. Stun is there, only 1 second. Ice Path a little bit off the mark, and looks like Z-Freak will be able to escape as well.
Very interesting stuff so far in the lanes. Viper pulling ahead of the Puck, getting some good denies in here as well. Limp is definitely in a tough spot. A full level ahead is the Viper. So Nana not going for the Viper Strike just yet, holding onto the skill point. If he catches Puck with no phase shift, he may go for it, but for the time being, he's just going to wait and see what happens.
Obviously, a lane dominator, the Viper. Do you think now that once he's going to get level 6 here on Limp, they might start to rotate? Or is there any chance that they find a kill?
He will more likely just pick up a TP. I don't think we're going to see him like roam through like the river to another lane, but we'll see him like TP counter gank. So if a dive's happening, or if there's going to be a big clash in the side lane, he will TP in. So I'd expect to see that come out on the courier fairly soon. All right. It's got his bottle. The courier's waiting at base. I think that is waiting for the TP money. Limp's just a couple gold short.
Meanwhile, though, coL in a little bit of an awkward spot himself. They're bringing in the Kunkka. The Ice Path is going to connect onto 3 heroes, actually. And Mushi brought down fairly low. It looks like he is going to be able to live. There's nothing else for damage.
We're seeing now the Pugna really get exploited. Once the Complexity aggro tri-lane got some levels, got their magic sticks up, anytime they can go on Mushi, that very squishy Pugna is really feeling the heat here. And coL is now the one who have the edge down bottom. With levels, they've got a better initiation, multiple forms of it with the Kunkka and the Chaos Knight, so very tough lane for Mineski to hold their own.
Yeah, and they just leave. They're like, screw this. We don't want to be around anymore. We're going to head over towards the mid lane. Literally 3 heroes just running mid. Yeah.
Ice has regained control over top lane. With his level 6, he managed to zone out the Omni, force him back to base. He's actually level 7 now, so this is kind of the lane matchup win I thought would happen earlier, but it just took him a bit longer to get there. He needed his level 6 first.
Ninja Boogie, they are going to actually pull him back in, and caught now in the shards. He's going to be able to jump away. The coil connects onto 3. I don't know if they're going to be able to find enough damage. Actually, with Chessie rotating, this might be enough. They need to slow them down at least a little bit more. Reality Rift back, but they're also bringing in the Viper now. Scary stuff indeed. Ice Path off the mark. The shard's not going to catch Chessie. coL might be the one that gets brought down as they do snowball forward. A lot of damage coming out onto him, but Akimela do it. Instead, they take down the Night Stalker, and coL going to die, but it's a trade.
Support for support. Not a big win either way. Both teams rotating in their mid. Really a dead even trade there. Mushi getting a bit more freedom at bottom, but as soon as he goes back to farm, Limp is actually rotating in. Mushi needs to be very careful. Oh, Limp, I like the Tango in. He doesn't go for the blind orb.
Oh, waiting for it. He needs to find it, but it is not going to open up, and he thinks better of it.
I think once he got closer, he should have gone for the orb. Orbing in from the trees would have very likely been dodged, but once he got a bit nearer the tower, he could have perhaps gone for it, but doesn't want to also overcommit and then use his orb and go down.
I really like what I'm seeing so far from both of these teams, though. It feels like neither side is really backing away from taking the fight. Both sides really are content to go in there like we saw 4-on-4 even in the river.
Oh yeah, this tri-lane versus tri-lane, this is a great way to start off the day. A lot of kills, a lot of action. 5th kill for Complexity as they tie things up on the kill scoreboard, and it is very close to dead even in terms of overall farm as well. Slight edge for Mineski out of the lanes, as you'd expect. The Viper matchup, the Timbersaw matchup, this is the somewhat expected result of those lanes at least.
We got to keep our eyes on it. Night Stalker was almost level 4 there. Z-Freak is going to come in now. And Ice. A lot of damage onto Mu. They're going to try and pull him back in, maybe for the purification.
20 reactive. He is not dying. He's actually more likely getting kills here than anything.
God, Mu just taking a beating.
Yeah, Mu wants to get another heal bomb off, but meanwhile, bottom lane.
Now, coL, he's going to get sucked there by Mushi. The Ice Path to break it, though, and still continuing to dive with Limp showing up as well. They block off good shards there. Mushi's still trying to run the orb. It's going to connect. They can follow up with the silence. They pull back in with the Reality Rift, and they get the kill. The snap on the coil as well. Jab's barely able to get away from that one.
Yikes. This Chaos Knight is just so strong in this aggro tri-lane. Because it's 3v3, Chaos Knight's biggest problem with constant fighting is often mana, but this Magic Wand gives him constant charges, constant like regenerated mana, and he's just able to keep on fighting. So we're seeing the constant clashes really favor Chessie. He's not getting the kills, but he's 0, 1, and 5, the one death being very early on in that lane. So Mushi says, I can't stay here anymore. He's going top. I think Mushi's perhaps biggest mistake in this lane is he hasn't bought raindrops. I think that's just going to block a lot of the damage output coming out. Even if you're just blocking some damage from a Chaos Bolt, it's such a big boost to your health that it's definitely worth getting.
And look out top lane. They're going to kill the Kunkka. Not really much needed there. There was a hasted Viper coming in as well, so there's going to be no way that they stay alive there. There is a rotation down bottom, though.
This is a great move from Mushi. He can now follow it up with a tower, but coL will look to do the same bottom. Get a kill and probably try and pressure this tower.
Easy pickup there for them. coL's the one that finds the kill, and with Jakiro, they shouldn't have any trouble taking that tower rather rapidly.
Mineski will push a lot faster. It is just a level 1 liquid fire at bottom. Good news is there's a siege creep though, so that's going to kind of give them the push. And actually Mineski say, well, we can take the tower and defend. Ice already has the 20 reactive up. Macropire on the creep wave that does scout Ice, but he may just look to defend this one. If he can get the creep waves off the tower.
Oh, this is a very bold move right here by Mineski, and they are going to come in. The orb has already been used by Limp, though, and now he's in a little bit of trouble trying to get out of there with the TP. Is it going to happen? No, they can't get him.
Yeah, he was a second or two away from another whirling death, very close to a kill. Kyle going to get the TP out. This is still what Mineski wanted. They took a tower while defending theirs. Considering how many Complexity heroes committed to that bottom lane for the gank, expecting a tower follow-up, Mineski don't mind that they don't get a kill there. Obviously, a puck kill, fantastic, would have been a big win for them, but Mineski going to follow this up, the rotations bottom, with some fight. As under the tower, Ice, bottom lane is really getting in their face. Chaos Knight even popped the ultimate, thinking you could kill him, but not the case when you've got 20 reactive armor, 36 total armor.
He is just a beast right now, and Viper and Timbersaw, you're not killing either of these guys at this point in the game at the very least. Do you think that's something that's going to be an issue going forward, Complexity running into damage issues?
Could become one. Omni's not a hero known for his damage output. Chaos Knight's going to need to farm more, which is, with the constant fighting, not happening. He's less farm than the Omni Knight, for example, so I think there's a lot of concentrated farm on Mu, which is not going to translate into an ability to kill either Timbersaw or Viper. And the really good thing for Mineski over the last couple of minutes is Mushi's just stuck it out top. He's just farming away. He's not pressuring the tower, but he's finally managed to get away from the action to get some farming levels.
Oh my god. Again, Ice just daring them to come at him. They do repel Kyle. That's going to keep him back for the moment. Macropire down as well. Nobody's really standing in it, and they do find the kill. And Mu just going to punch Ice a few times before he heads off on his way, I guess.
Get himself out of there. Does lose his last couple raindrops there, but not the biggest deal for him.
I mean, it definitely feels like Mineski, they're just really content to keep these lanes pushed out, and Complexity don't want to end up giving away this tower for free, for sure.
Yeah. Normally we've seen coL's successes come from like this 15 to 20 minute, maybe even up to 25 minutes, like 5-man Death Ball. They have this big team fight, but it's a team fight that pushes really hard. Like Jakiro, Chaos Knight this game, they've had a lot of Chen picks. They always get these heroes that can take buildings and objectives and sustain. The Omni Knight being the big sustain hero this time, but with the start they had, they're unlikely to translate into a good mid-game push right now. So they're really going to have to start finding some key pickoffs, which is not easy to do until Puck gets a Blink Dagger.
Again, they go down bottom. Complexity trying to pressure this one out. Mu, he's standing toe-to-toe with Ice, but in some trouble. Going to be forced to repel. They're going to snowball forward and find themselves a kill onto Kyle. Yep. Mu forced to run away in mid lane. We'll see if they're going to be able to find anything in return, but seems unlikely.
Yeah, coL could have maybe even had it worse off there. Perhaps they could have killed Mu there. They had the Walrus Punch to break any repel TP, but they went for the easy free kill because they want this tower. So Viper, Timbersaw charging forward at bottom. Ice is in his element right now, playing Timbersaw, constantly running at coL in their face, 20 reactive armor almost permanently on this Timbersaw, and coL cannot kill him. They've got to go for other targets.
They're trying to make it happen right now. There's the Dream Coil onto 2. Is this really going to amount to much, though? The Torrent comes out as well. Chessie is here, bringing everybody except for the Jakiro right now. And, well, Chessie taking a lot of damage from Ice. They throw out as well. The big old shark comes through, connects onto basically nobody. They are going to be able to bring down one, though, it looks like. That's actually the Omni Knight dead. Chessie falls as well. Mineski, they are not taking anything right now. Z-Freak is going to end up falling as well. Maybe no, they don't have anything to break the TP. But Complexity need to run away. Limp in trouble. Can he get out of there as well? The suck is there. They find another kill. Mineski are just dominating.
Holy cow, this is by far the best game of Dota Mineski's played all tournament long. They've had their wins. They've made it through the semifinals, of course, winning 2 best-of-3s. But the way they're playing right now, this is a new Mineski we're seeing in the playoffs. They've really stepped it up. They're playing together as a team. The snowball saves from jabs, maybe not completely saves, but it just buys time. CK used Ultimate Reality Rift on this Viper to pull him in, and instantly the Tusk snowballs him, keeps him alive. Meanwhile, Ice doesn't get snowballed. He just runs in, tanks the damage, clears out the illusions, and there's nothing coL can do. They have this decent sustain, this very farmed Omni Knight, but they're just unable to fight because Chaos Knight, despite the success they had with the aggro trail lane getting kills on Pugna, Chaos Knight hasn't farmed. This game for coL really needed a farm Chaos Knight, and Mineski have been able to find Pugna room to farm. He went to the off lane, untouched for the last, 5 minutes. Chaos Knight constantly fighting, unable to get those items.
They really need to catch back up. A 6,000 net worth lead. kill score doesn't tell the whole story, even though it is a little bit of a lead there from Mineski, but it felt like that one was really just a backbreaker. They brought pretty much everybody there. I didn't see if Swindles didn't have his TP up yet at that point, but he ended up coming in a little bit later to the fight, and I don't even know if it would have mattered, honestly. It's just, it feels like they don't have what they need to either lock them down or find the kills.
It was this just frontline Timbersaw that you have to get past to get the kills because you're not killing him, and they tried to dive past him, go on the Viper, pull him in with Reality Rift, but Mineski say no. Well, with a Hood now and a plate mail queued up, Ice is going to be damned hard to kill. Not going for any kind of a Bloodstone build, which is kind of a more snowbally build. He wants to go for the tankiest build possible, knowing that he can create space for his Pugna and his Viper to do the real heavy lifting as far as damage output.
Oh, and you look at this as well, Moo realizing that they're going to need to go for a plan B here. He's going for a Midas, and they're bringing in a lot of heroes.
Moo could be in trouble here. They've got Warrior's Punch for him.
Well, Midas something before you go down. He's dropping his items in his face. Stun, silence, wallop down to death.
Well. I think what coL really needed to do was continue ganking and pressuring Mushi. He was the hero they decided to shut down, and then once he goes to the offlane, pushes the tier 1, he keeps farming, and coL don't chase after him. I think they needed to follow Mushi wherever he went. He's the squishiest hero, he's the easiest kill, and they just let him farm uncontested, and that really has hurt them right now. They've been trying to deal with the Timbersaw, and Timbersaw's a hero you don't deal with. You ignore him. You ignore him and just wait for him to go away.
Oh man, it has well and truly gone astray here for Complexity, bleeding and feeding away kills time after time, and you understand it. Like, they need to keep these lanes pushed out. Even there, the X and then the Kunkka Xing himself and then throwing out the boat just to make sure that he clears off the creep waves, but it feels like it's just kind of delaying the inevitable push that's coming from Mineski.
Yeah, Mineski's not in a huge rush right now to go high ground or anything. They haven't got, I mean, they've got an okay high ground lineup, but they really want this Pugna to get a lot more farm. This is a hero that every item he gets makes him a lot scary. The Ags gives you the 0 cooldown on life drain. The Blink, maybe the Blink he's already got actually, is going to be fantastic just for positioning. A BKB could help him a ton with all the magic damage flying around. So Pugna's definitely a hero that's going to scale incredibly well with farm this game, as well as the levels. You just want to get more points in the life drain, as well as all your other spells, which are going to be fantastic this game. Decrep, the Chaos Knight, by the time he gets farm, Decrep maxed out. Can't really go on anyone. There's no Diffusal heroes on the Dire side to deal with Decrep, so it's going to be very problematic for them.
I mean, is there a point, though, we've seen this hero get out of control before, is there a point where he gets to a level of farm where they can't deal with him?
On the Chaos Knight?
Yeah.
If he had the Midas to catch up, I'd say it could happen with time, but he's farming with his armlet, and it feels like, yeah, going Midas would have been a bad idea, but at the same time, it may have been the best idea of whatever possible items he could have gotten. Just because coL's way back in this game is the Chaos Knight getting scary. You do get to a point where you're incredibly hard to deal with, even with a Timbersaw on your team. Viper's going Maelstrom to deal with the illusions, but you're not going to get enough farm without that farming item, and I don't think Chessie's going to get there without a Midas.
Tier 2 tower falls in the top lane, and eyes set either towards Roche or another objective, but like you said earlier, it's sort of at their leisure. They don't need to pressure and make anything happen super early on in this time, and well, that Agi talent as well. When I look at Viper's talents, I cringe a little bit. It's so freaking good, that much Agi at this level.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. He also gets some amazing ones later on. 20 armor at level 25. He's got some of the worst level 20 talents, but you know, you take that for the other 3 talents you get.
Building towards that BKB now as well, just to make him that indomitable force, hitting towers and taking the life away from coL. So we'll have to watch and wait. I mean, is there another like smoke gank rotation that you can make with coL, or like what's the ideal hero to go on here?
Yeah, Pugna again, he's the squishiest, he's the easy kill. You have to make sure you actually cancel his blink, so when you go on him, you need Puck to get an instant blink coil or a blink silence so you do damage and Mushi does not get a chance to blink out of there. And we've seen Mushi alone, like he was alone at top for a long time, so they didn't use their smokes, I feel. I don't think we've really seen any attempts at real coordinated smokes from coL as a team. I think they're realizing it's time now. They've got 2 smokes, one on Kunkka, one on Jakiro. Time to try and use them. Problem is Mineski are grouped up, so it's very hard to smoke into this 5-man unit.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe they have ward vision all around this area as well, scouting out all of Complexity's movement.
And they've seen the smokes in the inventory, I'm sure, so they're probably telling each other, like, they've got 2 smokes, they're going to be looking to use them, let's just stick together.
Oh, they pull back in one. It's a hope and a prayer, but a snowball puts the kibosh on that. The boat's going to actually connect, and well, the ice path to follow. Are they really going to do this? Mineski getting pulled apart. What the hell happened there?
The snowball didn't last long enough. It wasn't really Jabs' fault as far as he had to let the snowball go. It got to the point where it was at its max duration, but perhaps used it a little bit too soon, and the Viper getting jumped on. The perfect target at this point. When you can't get to the Pug and the Viper's your next best bet, he's gone for this Maelstrom build, so he is a bit squishier without any extra armor items, and coL were able to get the perfect initiation.
Yeah, and maybe just feeling a little bit too confident in their own abilities, but Complexity showing that they still do have a possibility to fight.
3-man boat. Kill one of the 3 heroes, you torrent the other 2. It was just a perfect chain stun, the ice path, everything just worked perfectly. I mean, what happened, it very much was the wombo combo moment. When you hit, that's kind of where Tusk Snowball can backfire. This is a spell when Tusk first came out and people were using the hero, Snowball lost games for the team using it. You know, you Snowball, we saw so many times where a team would 3-man, 4-man Snowball into like a Tide Hunter or something, and boom, Ravage hits everyone. Game is lost. Chronosphere. Like, there's so many good AoE spells that counter Snowball incredibly well, and coL have a few of them. Jakiro is one of the kind of better support counters to Tusk. You Snowball, you know what's coming, you drop an Ice Path, and you have a guaranteed hit. So very hard to play Tusk against some of these heroes. That's where Jabs isn't using the Snowball offensively. He's purely using it to try and save and block spells, which is how you have to use the hero against these kind of lineups. You can't try and aggressively Snowball in against a Jakiro. He's going to try and dodge X-Torrents. He's going to try and dodge, like, Chaos Knight pops his ultimate, stun someone. He's going to try and save that stunned up hero.
Well, and now Mineski realizing that they're not immortal, they're going to pick up the Aegis of the Immortal and try and help themselves out. Smoke forward. I
think they were a little bit close to a dire ward maybe, but maybe Mineski just don't care. Viper finds a fortunate DD to help him take that Roche nice and fast, and Mineski just going to start chipping on the tower.
Another ward placed down there on the high ground. They have vision, and this is so hard to deal with.
That smoke is worth it almost just to get that high ground ward without being spotted. So with a high ground ward, it's very easy for them to play around coL's initiation. Doesn't have reactive armor.
This is a lot of damage on Ice Ice. And again, another snowball. Do they have enough to lock them all down? Again, they've caught themselves. Ice Ice. That's going to be another kill. Mineski maybe have gone too far. Yet again, the long duration stun onto the Tusk. It pulls him back in, and he goes down as well. Mineski far, far out of position, and this punishes so heavily. You do have the X. They pull back in again onto that Viper, trying to kill him off. Mushi is moving forward. Can they keep him alive with the Decrep? It's looking like it's okay. Limp is there as well. They pop the Guardian Angel. Can they keep him under control? Limp again, taking a lot of damage. That Viper just deals so much of it, the Ice Path, but they need to back out right now. There's the long acceleration suck as well, and Jesse trying to stay alive, but it's not going to happen.
Nana just so strong, and Ice is back with the Bloodstone. He respawned incredibly fast. They don't have buyback on Chaos Knight. They do in the puck.
Yeah, and it was looking good for a moment, but maybe now a bit too much. And even if they do take down the Viper, he's still got that Aegis. They force the buyback there from the puck. They bring in another. This Pugna ward as well, doing a ton of damage, but they're also able to get a 2% torrent inside of a Macro Pyre with a life drain from Mushi, keeping Ice alive. They turn on to Kyle. They take him down as well. Jakiro buyback. They have to hold, but it's feeling like it might just be too much. Viper strike as well. This is going to be a dieback. Complexity getting rolled over here as the barracks are most likely going to fall. The boat comes in, but to no avail.
Yeah, they'll get the racks for sure. coL will not tap out at this point. It is not an entirely lost game, but a very difficult game to turn around. But Mineski looked a bit too gung-ho at the start there, and I think definitely was a bit too far forward for Ice particularly. Until you have that 20 reactive armor, you don't want to go right into your enemy tower. He got pulled deeper into the enemy base, gets X-Torrent boated. Even with the Snowball buying him some time, he never was able to build up the regen and the armor he needs to survive there. So really good jump from coL to try and hold their base. Mineski just had too many tools. The chase afterwards, Viper just too tanky, stayed alive for an incredibly long time, and ultimately destroyed coL.
And I guess at the end of the day, with the Bloodstone up, it didn't end up mattering. He just comes back in, and it's fine and dandy anyways. Still have 12 Bloodstone charges.
Yep. Took him a little bit longer because he doesn't have the travels, but the fight lasted such a long time. That's where Viper's great. Viper makes fights last a long time because he's so tanky. You can't just bring him down instantly at this point. And that really paid off. I don't like that Limp went for this Boots of Travel this game. He gets the Veil now. If he had the Veil instead of Travel's there, you're a lot better off. I feel like Boots of Travel, when you're the ones defending high ground, I guess coL obviously weren't anticipating to be in this position. The Veil is just going to help out your entire team. kunkka, Jakiro, all of their spells doing more damage with a Veil that fight could have made the difference. They may have actually been able to finish off that Viper, so I think Limp's Boots of Travel purchase is a big expensive item for a hero that doesn't have much farm. That was his first major item after his Blink was a Boots of Travel. The Veil would have been a lot better for the constant fighting going on.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, you know, like you said, it's definitely not the way that they wanted the game to go, but it's sort of the problem that they're now facing. They do manage to get Z-Freak out of there in the bottom lane. They hit on a scan, Radiant, but weren't able to find the kill. So Shrine's now taken. Aegis for not that much longer on Mineski. It might have actually already gotten expired.
60 seconds.
So where do you go at this point if you're either team, I guess?
Mineski want to keep chipping. Even with that short duration on Aegis, they're going to push out lanes with the Timbersaw. He's got Boots of Travel now. They're also going to wait maybe for like some kind of initiation. But Viper, Pugna, you can siege from a very safe distance. For coL, you need to do similar to what you did last time. Yeah, you lost your racks, but the idea was solid. Jump a hero, someone like the Timbersaw before he's got reactive armor. Pull in a Viper when the Aegis expires. Try and get onto the Pugna. They need to get that big team fight initiation, that Wombo combo, that X-Boat to initiate. The Chaos Knight needs to get in there. They really want to try and find the big team fight if Mineski push high ground. If they're not, farm up. Chaos Knight needs his BKB. That's going to be the big key item for them at this stage.
And still a little ways away before the next nighttime. It feels like Mineski very comfortable just waiting for that and, you know, to get everything else that they need. At that point, if like they wanted to, is there any value in them trying to take the fight before they get towards sieging high ground or catch Mineski off guard?
Yeah, it's a good way of getting to the target you want. If you let Mineski set up right outside your base, Pugna, Tusk are going to be very well positioned. Pugna so that he can't get gone on, Tusk so that whoever does get gone on can get a snowball save. So the surprise factor of smoking out of your base and taking the fight away from your base is always going to be a strong tool to use against a lineup with like a hero like Pugna who wants to sit back, not get caught. So if you can somehow get a smoke wraparound, get the back lines, go on the Tusk, go on the Pugna, you're going to have a much better chance of winning a fight. Problem is it's very hard to do that during nighttime because of Ninja Boogie's vision advantage.
Yeah, speaking of which, he scouted out the Omni Knight there, and they all are moving up towards the top lane. They will be able to have eyes on him. Silence, break in the TP. Oh, no, no, no.
Yeah.
Moo is most likely dead here. They have all the control in the world in just a second, and I think that nobody from Complexity is going to be able to get there in time to help out Moo. So shards come through, Walrus Punch as well, and he is going to go down.
Tough spot to be in. He had the Greaves to break the silence. He could have gone for a Repel TP, but if he does that, there's the Walrus Punch. So Tusk is proven to be a very useful hero to have this BKB Magic Immune Piercing disable. I've seen multiple times where Moo has gone down because he can't just repel TP away. And with that kill, they are going to chip away at top. This should be at least a tier 3 tower. Possibly even Rax. 40 seconds without an Omni Knight.
Yeah, and all of the buybacks were used earlier by the rest of the heroes too, pretty much. So you really don't have a build. Like, if you lose anybody at this point, pretty much, it's maybe even game.
I totally agree. One dead core hero, whether it's Puck or Chaos Knight, in the next 10 seconds is a guaranteed Rax, possibly game. Depending on how coL want to play if they're 2 racks down. CK can't finish his BKB in time, unfortunately.
Oh, Reality Rift. There's an X as well. They've got a good bit of damage there. Still no Omni Knight, though. Scary stuff as Chessie brought down to half HP already. He actually turns on to Mushi, able to blow him up, but the turnaround, it's going to be there. Jabs has just been playing out of his mind. The BKB comes out. Limp just trying to orb away from that. They will be able to chase, find another kill. Chessie falls. They buy back on Mushi. Mineski smelling blood and smelling a Game 1 victory. Unless something magical happens here from Complexity. Greaves again, trying to turn, trying to keep him alive, and they are able to force a couple back, but Mineski can just reset and go again.
Boots of Travel back in means they're ready to fight immediately. Kyle's probably dead here. Has got the Shrine that may save his life. It's going to be close.
Ice Path out as well. They're keeping him controlled. Limp on the backlines trying to kill off Jabs, but the Decrep, it keeps him alive as well. They can't keep a kill onto anybody. Complexity just trying to find anything at all, but this big bad Viper standing in front of all of them. 3-second stun, another Decrep. Night Stalker's not dying. Chessie finally falls. And that might be the nail biter. The Jabs, Walrus Punch, the stun as well. He can't get the orb out. And that should be game number 1. Mineski, make it happen.
Whew. That was very well thought out from Mineski. From the draft to the way they played the aggression, created space for Mushi to farm. Couple, maybe, I don't even want to say slip-ups on the high ground, but some good defense from coL where they made it look close. I mean, Mineski, maybe they went for the dive. They end up winning the fight well enough. They got the rack, so the results speak for itself as Mineski take a big win against coL here. coL went for the big team fight drafts. We've kind of seen they had that pushing element, but the laning stage was better than I expected, but ultimately the Chaos Knight not getting farm was their big kind of downside with how they set up their lanes.
Yeah, it definitely felt like it might have been more of that drafting thing again, because like there were moments where you could see what Complexity wanted to do. That team fight mid where they were able to get 3 with the full combo together, and they were actually able to get all of those kills, but that only happened one time in the game, and if you're dependent upon hitting like a 3-man boat, maybe go back to the drawing board a little bit as well.
Yeah, that fight was beautiful from them, but you're not going to get that 3-man boat every time. The X guarantees the boat's going to hit 1 hero. Got fortunate that the Tusk snowballed them in so he could get 2, 3 heroes. But outside of that fight, yeah, coL couldn't pull things entirely together. They lack damage, as you kind of pointed out very early on, where it's like, how are they going to kill Timber? How are they going to kill Viper? Omni getting farmed didn't give them that damage. They needed maybe Puck to get more. The fast Veil could have perhaps given them some more damage, but coL will have some ideas for game 2, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll have to see what those ideas are, but now we're going to send it back to the panel and see what they thought about that game.
Mineski take the first game in the semifinals here at the Starladder I-League Invitational. And it didn't start out that convincing for Mineski. We had an aggressive trialing coming out from Complexity, and I thought it was going to go good for Complexity. They had a free farming Omni Knight, not free farming. They had an Omni Knight that was doing okay against Timbersaw, I should say. Will, why didn't it pan out for Complexity this game?
I just don't think they can kill anybody at some point. Like, their heroes against Mineski's heroes, there's like a perfect storm of things. It's like you have a Viper who can't die in that game. It's really hard for him to die. There was one fight at the bottom river that they took where Complexity, against a normal lineup, they'd probably be able to get 1 or 2 kills. But against a Viper, you just have to run away immediately. Because this hero, if you don't burst him down, then he just kites you. And if you have a bunch of melee cores and you can't get on top of him and you don't have burst range heroes, then you pretty much can never fight him. Like, Puck just can't kill him. Jakiro does like negative to him, might even heal him over time.
You could really see that from that the first time the Complexity really got run over in that team fight by the bottom tier 1 tower. They made that mistake of thinking like, oh, we can fight them with our team fight. But that was at a time where Viper was probably at one of his biggest peaks. Timbersaw was also to a point where he'd finally had the levels and stuff that he was actually significantly tanky as well. He could just dive past all those towers, and you saw they were just kind of like broke Complexity entirely. I think a lot of this comes down to picking up the Chaos Knight so early on the draft. You could see the way Mineski drafted against it really well. Just a lot of tanky heroes that you don't want to go on, to be honest. Like, Timbersaw over time is going to be able to get there. Viper's the big one, right, who's able to sit in the front lines. Any of those heroes get gone on, they're potentially going to get a life drain or a decrepify, or maybe both from the Pugna. So it's really difficult to be able to find that that first initial kill that you're going for. Complexity, maybe they could have stood a little bit more of a chance if they dodged that bottom engagement, dodged all engagements with Mineski until Chaos Knight hits his like more late game swing. But that's a lot of time to wait for, and I don't think that's Complexity style either.
And you're saying dodging engagements? Do you also mean like dodging the lane completely, like have a normal lane, put Jesse on the safe lane with the CK, or was the laning choice okay for Complexity regardless of that?
It didn't help. I mean, like, it's okay getting the Omni, the 1v1, but Timbersaw is also kind of happy with it. And Chaos Knight is not happy with having a slow laning phase, right? He did not get a whole lot out of that, and Chaos Knight definitely needs a strong laning phase to be able to move forward. So the fact that he on the CS chart is just not really looking the greatest is always going to slow him down. He's just like such a kill-focused hero that in that first like 8 minutes of the game, you need as much CS as possible, I think.
Yeah, you already see that at this point, Nana is top of the net worth chart, and this is the fight that you mean, I believe.
Two-man Torrent, two-man coil. They move forward, think they can go for a Viper. Really good saves from the Tusk. Even that attempt at mid, we'll probably see it later on. The snowball just didn't last long enough, and that was one of the few fights they lost. But
yeah, that was the fight. I mean, I'm sure we're gonna see that fight. That was a fight where I thought, well, maybe Complexity. You know, they've got this one more combo team fight thing going on. If they can find a couple more like that, you know, they have a chance here.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those situations though where everything kind of went perfect for them. They get this snowball, and it just like sets up the boat.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get that ever again.
No, it was very unfortunate. Unless, I don't know. Was there anything itemization that they could do? Maybe silence up that Tusk because Jabs was in with the saves at the time?
No, I think that they didn't have enough damage. I don't know if it was the CK third. Like
You're okay with third picking CK, just straight up?
I think the larger issue is probably that they're one of the few teams so far that I've seen that don't move the puck around at all. Like they don't. I haven't seen them run it off lane yet.
Yeah, they could have run puck. If they can run puck off lane, they could just run it against the Timbersaw.
Did they
right?
third pick Viper?
Do regular try.
They fourth picked Viper.
They fourth picked Viper after
the puck. Yes.
After the puck. Well, for puck was first too.
Yeah.
But probably the larger issue is like Viper was just gonna have an absolute free lane. It's one of the heroes that just like completely stop Puck from being able to do what he wants in the laning phase, and Puck doesn't really kill any of their other heroes with the exception of the Pugna, which is what we saw early on. But they don't have enough follow-up bursts. They don't have enough control. They had like X and Torrent, which is okay, but we talked about how Tusk is good against it, and they had CK stun, and we already talked about why Puck is kind of a weak hero here. There's not enough follow-up damage. Like Nana had a super free game. Yeah,
MVP. I mean, sure, part of it was because he had that super free game, but at the same time, he did play it perfectly as well. He was at the right place at the right time, chose the right fights, and just overall was
Have we seen Complexity prioritize Puck before? I feel like
they first two did the other day too.
Oh, okay.
Against Na'Vi.
I was thinking maybe they picked it up a little bit more just because, you know, it's a favorable hero for Mineski.
It wins all the laning. It wins most laning phases, and it's hard to gank, so that you can't really disrupt it early on with this Tusk or this Night Stalker. But the downside is that you run into these positions if you can't run them off lane, where you just get Vipered. And the main times that Viper works as a hero is if the enemy's cores can't split. Because if you're a core player, if you're a one position player, you really like playing against Viper.
Yeah.
It's the best because you know that this Viper is very rarely going to come to your lane. He's very rarely going to mess with you. For the most part, he's going to sit in mid lane and win mid.
And late game is still yours because Viper falls off.
Yeah, exactly. Because Viper, at some point, he just gets, he can't really deal as much damage. Once BKBs come out, you're naturally tanky, but there are items that deal with you, like Silver Edge. But there comes a time where this hero falls off, but against that lineup, there was never really a time where he was going to be too bad whatsoever. Like, he bought really good items. I really like the Maelstrom choice. He had different heroes that could deal with the CK. And so you don't have this hero that is very mobile on the map that frustrates Viper. Like, Viper, you know that Complexity is going to fight you. Perfect hero.
Great time. Great time was had indeed by Nana on his Viper. We'll see if he has a great game again or if Complexity can make a comeback and force out that third game here in the semifinals. We'll take a short break, but when we're back, it's more Complexity versus Mineski.